start the recording. So I believe I sent you all the videos up to the last class. That was we talked about load balances. Did you guys get a chance to work on load balances? Anybody? Did anybody try it?
Um, I didn't get a video from the last class, like on Wednesday one. I didn't get it for some reason.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't get it as well.
Yeah, and no one got it.
Which email are you talking about?
The last recording.
Okay, hold on.
Wednesday, the last Wednesday.
Yeah,
Class
hold on.
11.
Class 9 video. Is it class 9?
11.
That was class 11, right? Hold on, let me see one thing here. So that is 21. That is the last class. No. 0 to... Okay, I think I didn't send these two videos, right? 31st video. Abhishek, can you please mute? Okay.
Yeah, we have it until like January 31st, the last video that I have.
I understand. Okay, so hold on one second here. Let me just finish all that. So it's basically class 11, class 10 and class 11, right? Okay, I sent that video. So okay, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue with the EC2. Last topic in EC2 that I want to talk about is actually auto scaling. So auto scaling, I think in my demo class or something, I talked about a Turkey website, isn't it? Anybody remember that? A company that sells turkey online. Their traffic goes like this over the period, and in November or December, they're going to have traffic like this. Anybody remember this?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, I
So
remember, yeah.
this is where one of the place where auto scaling can come into picture, but auto scaling can be done in different scenarios. But one of the best scenario is something like this. So this company normally on a weekly basis or daily basis, they only need this much processing power. Let's say they need only 4 servers, 4 front-end web servers, load balanced using ELBs. They only need 4 servers during this time. But during the period of November and December, they might need 8 servers. Another scenario is a company that has traffic like this. If their traffic goes like this, sometimes they need a more number of servers. When it reaches here, they might need 4 servers. When the traffic reaches here, they need only 2 servers. So auto scaling can actually help here, where auto scaling is automatically scale out and scale in. It can do both. It can contrast as well as it can expand. So based on the need, auto scaling can automatically add servers. It can automatically deploy a server and add that server into the pool and do a lot of things, so if your CPU utilization, so you have to use some kind of a cloud watch. I know I didn't talk about cloud watch, but I thought I will just finish it and we will figure out cloud watch later. But you can configure cloud watch. Cloud watch is actually Amazon's monitoring tool. You can use cloud watch to monitor the CPU utilization, network utilization, or different performance counters you can use to monitor. And based on that performance, for example, a CPU utilization of your two servers, right now you have two servers that is serving the web pages, and if the CPU utilization on those servers go more than 70%, you can tell auto scaling to spin up two more new servers and add it to the pool so that the traffic can be equally served and the site gets better performance. On the other hand, if the traffic goes down, if the CPU utilization of the total 4 servers comes down to 15% or 20%, auto scaling can automatically remove 2 servers. Now it can be the first 2 servers or it can be the last 2 servers. All that things can be configured with the help of auto scaling. Auto scaling can also be part of another thing. For example, you have 2 servers or 3 servers in a pool, and if one of the server is not working or not responding, auto scaling can automatically spin up a new server and add it to the pool and then remove the other server. So auto scaling can be used in different scenarios, not just for expanding and contrasting, but it can also be used for problematic situations where one of your server is not responding or it is down. Auto scaling can automatically add servers. So that is basically what auto scaling can do. So here it is. Actually, I just wanted to, auto scaling helps you maintain the application availability and allows you to scale your EC2 capacity up or down automatically according to the conditions you define. So the condition you can define, whether it's CPU utilization or whether it is a hard disk utilization or whether it is network utilization or whether it is something else. So you can define what is your condition, and based on your condition, it can add or remove servers into the pool. So that is what is auto scaling can do. So auto scaling can help you ensure, it will make sure that you are always running the desired running amount of instances and not too many, so that you can save a lot of money. For example, that Turkey company, they don't need to run 8 servers throughout the year. They only need to run 2 or 3 servers throughout the year, and then in November or December, they might need more number of servers. So that is so here is the thing. Auto scaling is well suited for applications that have stable demand patterns or that experience hourly, daily, or weekly variability in usage. Facebook and Twitter and all are probably good candidates for that. When something happens, or yesterday, Super Bowl win, crazy. The Twitter and Facebook and all went crazy. They might need 10 times more capacity or 100 times more capacity than what they were having 2 days back. So these kind of situations, auto scaling will come into picture. That is the beauty of auto scaling. I would say you may want to watch some videos. I will give you some links on where you can watch some nice videos towards the end of the class. I will show you some very nice breakout session videos where you will be able to find some deeper insight on all these technologies that I am talking. So I would say make it a habit of watching these videos, at least one video a day. That will definitely help you going forward, so that you can confidently answer. You can confidently answer the questions. Auto scaling, by default, there is no cost for auto scaling. It is free. But as I said, Amazon CloudWatch do charge money. for keeping all the performance. You want to monitor the performance, you want to monitor the CPU utilization or things like that. You can use CloudWatch to do that. Again, CloudWatch itself is free, but when CloudWatch captures all these data, it puts all this information in S3, wherein you end up paying some money for S3. Not at too much money. I'm talking about, maybe in 50 cents or $1 or $2, but that cost will come. Okay. Other than that, auto scaling itself do not have any fee for it. So basically, you can actually use auto scaling with spot instances. I see a lot of companies uses spot instances with auto scaling, so that in the night, these are batch processing companies, the companies that do batch processing, and those who work in large environments probably know what is batch processing. A huge amount of automated jobs can be carried out during night. So a company companies actually take advantage of spot instances using auto scaling. So they will be running 5 or 6 servers all the time, but in the night they use auto scaling to grab all these cheap spot instances, and then they add them into the pool, and then they run bulk processing quickly, so that they can save a lot of money, and at the same time they can also finish off their processing very fast. So this is some of the interesting topics in EC2 auto scaling. There is more stuff you can read on it. I'm not going to get into the details of those things, but basically this is what it is. So you basically, when you want to work on auto scaling, you pretty much create something called as an auto scaling group. You need to create something called as a launch configuration. We'll be working on that. We're going to create something like that, and we'll see how auto scaling basically work. You can add it to elastic load balancers and things like that, and you can expand this a lot. Now, believe me, auto scaling is widely used in Amazon industry, especially in DevOps kind of environments where companies do large processing. This is really a powerful capability. In order to do auto scaling, you need to have an AMI. You know what an AMI is. An AMI is a pre-configured machine. So you cannot simply deploy an instance and expect it to work. That's not going to work. So you have to have some kind of scripting or some kind of automated mechanism. So if you want to have a web server, remember we have 2 web servers, correct? If I want to add a 3rd web server, can I just deploy an instance, and do you think it will work? Just deploy an instance and add it to the F5 ELB load balancer, and do you think it is going to serve the page or not?
No.
No.
What do we need to do?
We need to install the. We need to get all the.
So you need to, yeah. So that is probably, I would say, that is not the part of this course, but I would say, you need to understand some bootstrapping. You need to understand how, or you may want to work with your application owners, how that can be set up. But it can be set up. You can run. Anyways, the machine that you're going to deploy should have a IIS web server. It should have that website configured. It should have the ports configured. Everything should be configured properly. Then only that is going to work. So as part of launching that instance, you can run some custom scripts and all and configure it. I see that a lot of companies that do Linux-based operating systems, they have a kickoff scripts where they configure these things. Okay. But that part I'm not going to get into it, and in fact I'm not an expert in configuring automated scripts and stuff like that. But that is something you need to definitely work with your web application developers and all.
So, one question I have, Charan. Like for example, SCOM, it monitors server activity all the time. So if auto scaling is adding server, taking out the server, so SCOM probably go crazy, or they have their own system or something. You know what I mean? When you take out the server, SCOM think that the server is down or something. It's started throwing alerts, or no?
SCOM, I think you have options where you can put it in maintenance mode and things like that. But I just wanted to, since you mentioned that, um, um, so AWS has a management pack for SCOM. Okay. This is very powerful, so you can install the AWS management pack for SCOM in your environment, and then you have to configure a little bit of thing. It's not that difficult. We have done that. So basically, this is your operations manager server, and it can actually work. So you basically need to put a gateway server, or if it is in your same Active Directory, it's fine. Otherwise, you may want to put a SCOM gateway inside your VPC and then proxy out everything into your SCOM, and SCOM can manage everything. In fact, in my environment, we use SCOM to manage entire AWS infrastructure. So if an instance goes down, or if an instance having CPU utilization problem or anything, right now we are using SCOM, but there are more powerful mechanisms like alert logic and all. Alert logic is, I think I mentioned that, it's a very powerful company that has a extremely good alert logic. Take a look at this company. They have extremely good performance monitoring, capacity planning, alerting. A lot of features are available for SCOM, for Amazon. But coming to AWS with SCOM, it works perfectly fine. For any company that already spend a lot of money on AWS SCOM can definitely take advantage of that. So all these things, CloudWatch alarms, CloudWatch metrics, CloudFormation, EBS volume, elastic load balances, all these things in Amazon can be monitored using SCOM. Okay. So it definitely works very good. And as I said, we use SCOM for our monitoring. Okay, so there is a management pack, and you can see everything. So once you install the management pack, you see all the EC2 instances, you see all the load balances, you can see every piece of Amazon. So you can monitor, these are the things. You can monitor EC2 instances, EBS volumes, ELBs, auto-scaling groups, Beanstalk application, CloudFormation stack, CloudWatch alarms, and CloudWatch custom metrics. All these things can be monitored using SCOM. Okay. So those who don't know SCOM, guys, SCOM is a System Center Operations Manager. Previously it was called as SMS, and I think SMS is now SCCM. But anyway, this is the monitoring solution from Microsoft. Very powerful enterprise product. You can do a lot of things with this with SCOM, and Kashif, you may want to talk to him. He himself is working as a dedicated SCOM admin, so I'm sure Kashif can give a lot of insight into it. I used to work on SCOM for a couple of years, very extensively, but now I don't. But I still, worked with my SCOM admin in configuring all these things for our Amazon environment. Okay. All right. So let's get on to the AWS, auto scaling. Yeah, Vijay, I did see your message. There is an error downloading class 11 video. What is the error message? We'll look into it later. Okay.
Actually, take out the backslash at the end. That's all.
Okay. All right. So you got it. Just remove that slash, and then it should be okay. All right, so let's go and look into this auto scaling here. So you all understand what is auto scaling. You understand where it can be used. So auto scaling, when it comes here, there is this is the auto scaling page. Let's go here and go and create an auto scaling group. So you need to create a launch configuration. That is where you're going to tell. So there are two things in auto scaling. One is actually called the launch configuration, and then configuring the scaling groups. So first you need to create a launch configuration. So this is where you need to specify, okay, what is the AMI I'm going to use? what are the properties and all that things you need to use, you mention in launch configuration. Now remember, you cannot edit or modify a launch configuration. Once you create it, it is that. You cannot modify it. If you want to change something, you want to add a different AMI or you want to add a different value, you have to create a new launch configuration. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a launch configuration. So in the launch configuration, first thing you need to tell the launch configuration is which AMI you want to deploy. So I'm going to go to our AMIs. Let us take this Windows 2016 base image, or I can use this class 9 Windows image. That's a 2012. No, that is indifferent. So let's select this image. I'm going to say, okay, T2 micro, or do you want to tell me whether it should be deploying a T2 micro or it should be T2 large, whatever it is you need to specify here. So I'm going to do that. Let's create, class 10 see, here is an option if you want spot instances. In that case, it is going to use a spot instance and then launch this AMI on that. Okay. If you want, you can do that. You can attach a role. I don't think you need to do anything. I'm just going to attach a role here for just now. I don't know whether it can be done there. We don't have any roles here. So I'm not going to use that role. So, I mean, we'll talk about roles. Roles has nothing to do with it. If you want to give some permissioning or something, you can do that. You want to have detailed monitoring. Sometimes when you want to do it, you want to have detailed monitoring. You can enable that, but remember it will cost you some money. You can do that. Here, this is where actually I think I mentioned to you in the user data field. This is where you want to run any scripts. After the instance is launched, you want to run a command line and you want to run a PowerShell script to start an application, or you want to run a PowerShell script to automatically install the IIS server role and create a website and things like that. You have to create, you have to put that data here. That is where this advanced settings is. If you want, you can do that. The volumes and all, I'm going to create only just one instance, one volume. Security group, you want to put, so I'm going to use our existing external web server security group only for this particular thing right now. Where is our external web server security group? So here it is, because I'm going to add this to our external web server pool or things like that. So I'm just going to say, okay, this is the same security group I wanted to do. You can create your own security group, but I'm just creating one thing. So is this our VPC, by the way? Anybody remember? What is our VPC actually? Anybody remember what was our, this is the thing, right? Okay, I think that's the one. So let's see what happens. Class 10, what is it? Where is class 10? Anybody seeing that? It does not say which. So I think this is the security group, D09. Anybody remember? I don't know. I'm going to take a chance here.
Yeah, that is the one.
I think that's the one. Okay. So review, and so you can see that your launch configuration has a name. Purchasing option is on demand. Tenancy shared. All these things are there. Your storage is mentioned here. Everything what you are mentioning here is there, and then you are creating a launch configuration. Now you want a key pair or you don't want a key pair. Since we know the password of that AMI, do you need a key pair? We do not need a key pair, correct? Because we know the password of that Windows server. So you create and launch configuration. So you can see that the launch configuration is created. Now you are saying create an auto scaling group using this configuration. Now we're going to create a real auto scaling group with that launch configuration. Okay, so we can do that here itself. I just wanted to take you back one more time and show you what we have done so far. Let's go and look at the launch configuration. So this is the launch configuration we just created. So you can see that it is going to use this AMI. It is going to create T2 thing. So as I said, you cannot modify. There is no option. You can only delete or copy. You can actually copy a launch configuration and make another configuration for you. For example, you want to make another configuration. It has all the information here, and you can actually edit AMI. You want to change the AMI. You want to change it. You can actually change that. You want to, this one you want to use a T2 small. You can use a T2 small. You can do this kind of things and make another configuration. Okay, if you want this hard disk, you can do that. If you want to attach another security group, you can attach it. I'm going to use this security group now, review it, and create another launch configuration. So if you go back, now you can see that I created 3 launch configurations. So if you want, you can actually change this. I think you cannot even change the name of it. See here, you cannot even change the name. So once it is configured, it is configured. You cannot do anything. Okay. So this is the configuration we're going to use for our scaling. So now we're going to create an auto scaling group. So let's call it as a class 10 auto scaling. I'm just creating it a name. So it is asking when you start this auto scaling how many instances you want. I'm saying okay, start with 2, and now you specify which VPC you wanted it. You specify which subnet you wanted it. I wanted it in a public subnet, so I'm going to specify a public subnet for it. If you want, you can add other subnets. You can do that. Okay. Okay, you don't need public IP addresses because you don't need it. But if you want, they're saying you need to create public IP addresses. But we can change the subnet properties to do that. So don't worry about that. Advanced details. So here is where it is. If you want to have a health check, more monitoring and things like that, you can actually specify. Receive traffic from 1 or more load balancers if you have 1 load balancer. You don't need to specify any of these things. I don't think you need to do anything. If you want instance protection, you can do that here. So here is the scaling group policies. So you can specify certain policies, keep the initial size. So here is where actually you can specify. So here is look at these things. So we'll do one and then we will see how that things can be done. Use scaling policies to adjust the capacity of this group. So I am saying scale between 2 and 2 instances. This will be the minimum and maximum size. So I can say scale between 2 and 4. You can specify. It doesn't mean that auto scaling is keep on going to add 100 servers to your pool if the utilization is more. No, you can always say what is your upper limit. You can always say what is your lower limit. So I'm saying this particular group that I'm creating, I'm telling the auto scaling group, okay, you always start with 2. Even if there is no traffic, no activity, always run 2 instances. But if the traffic is more and if the utilization is more, you add 1 server. And if that is also reaching a high threshold, then add 1 more. But maximum it will go only up to 4 instances. or you can put 10 instances, or depending on your need. So this is actually for scaling, increasing the group size. The same thing for decreasing also is there. Let us go and do this, increase group size, for that. When do you want to increase the group size? So you can actually utilize, you can create a new alarm. I'm not going to do that now. But as I said, when do you want your um, your number of size to increase from 2 to 4? When your CPU utilization is high, or when you have other things. So you can actually create an alarm, AWS EC2, class to CPU utilization. So if the CPU utilization here, you can see that I will show you how to create CloudWatch alarms when we learn CloudWatch. For now, already I have created a CloudWatch alarm, so I'm going to utilize that for now. But when we learn how to create alarm and how to configure CloudWatch, you will understand this. Okay. But this is the policy I'm saying. Okay, hey, when the CPU utilization of these servers is greater than or equal to 75 percentage, or I think there is another one also. Okay, so here it is 30. Okay, I don't want to do that. So I'm saying, okay, if the CPU utilization is more than 75 percentage for 2 consecutive period of 60 seconds, I can modify this always. But I am telling you, if the CPU utilization is more than 75 percentage for 2 minutes, then for the metric auto scaling group class 10, I don't think we need to do that. It will automatically do that. So if you want, you can create a new alarm here. Actually, you can actually do that. This is how you create actually. I'm going to say that the average CPU utilization is greater than or equal to 60 percentage for at least one consecutive period of uh, 1 minute. Okay, this is the matrix I'm creating. I'm creating a new matrix, so I can use that actually. So I just use that 60%. That's it. Simply you create it. But how to create it, how the CloudWatch works, we will learn later. But this is what it is. So I'm going to say action, add one instance when the CPU utilization goes more than 60 percentage. If you want, you can add additional step. You can create additional steps to scale autos based on magnitude of your beach. If you want, you can do that. So if it is keep on doing that, it will continue to add things. Okay. Then coming to the decreasing, you can also say, okay, if my CPU utilization is less than or equal to 30 percentage for 1 minute. If it is 30 percentage or low, then bring it down. So it is going to remove one instance when the CPU utilization is low. Is this clear for everybody? How do you increase and decrease the size? This is how you specify what you can do with auto scale. Okay. So let's do this. Configure notification. So you can say, when your auto scaling is we can send notification. So I'm actually going to say auto scaling is automatically going to create instances. That means launching an instance. It can terminate an instance, because when the utilization goes down, it can terminate an instance. It can fail to launch sometimes. It can fail to terminate. So any of these things happens, I wanted to get an email notification. So you can configure that also for auto scaling. If you want additional notification, you can do that as well. I'm going to create, just a name for the servers. I'll call it as name, and I'm going to say external. Let's go create it as I'm just giving it a name. So all these instances are going to get that name. We can correct it. So this is our current configuration, auto scaling groups. So this is the thing, the subnet is there. All these details are there when it is going to do it. It is going to send me notifications and things like that. Is this clear for everybody? When I click on this create auto scaling group, it is going to do what? Can anybody tell me when I click on this, what is it going to do? Can anybody tell me from start to end when I do this, what exactly is going to happen here?
It will check the CPU usage. If that is the case, then
I
it
mean,
will
CPU usage
automatically
is not there, right? There is no servers, nothing. So tell me from the config, go back to your launch configuration, start from there. That is what it is going to do.
Okay.
Just create auto scaling group.
Anybody? Come on, guys. Just somebody give me an answer. Devinder. No answer. Muttu or Sunu. Somebody give me. So I'm going to do the, I mean, you guys didn't understand or what?
I'm sorry, what was the question again? I'm sorry, I missed
The question is, I'm going to say click on create auto scaling group. When I click on create auto scaling group, what is it going to do?
I guess do nothing, you just create the group.
Create auto scaling groups.
It will launch
It will
first.
create a group, and that group we need to attach to the instances.
Okay.
Should we link it to the launch configuration group?
Absolutely. So what is it going to do is, it is going to first look at the launch configuration. Okay. This auto scaling group is going to look at the launch configuration attached to this and see, okay, what is the launch configuration is talking. Okay, the launch configuration is saying use a particular AMI, correct? So it is going to use that AMI to create an instance, put it in the VPC that is mentioned in the launch configuration. It is put it in the subnet that is mentioned in the launch configuration. It is going to create an instance of the type that is mentioned in the launch configuration. And it is going to create how many instances?
People have a question. Actually, where did we specify this auto scaling group should use a particular launch configuration?
That is where we actually specified, right? I think, we were clicking on that launch configuration. I think initially we do that. So let me just do this here. Initiating auto scaling group. So let's go back and look at our auto scaling group. It is mentioned in the launch configuration. That is why you need to do. So if you click on this auto scaling group, okay, now it is doing now. So you can see that the launch configuration attached is class 10 launch configuration, right?
Okay.
And in that launch configuration, I said that desired capacity is 2. I need 2 servers. So it is definitely going to deploy 2 servers, no matter what. And then it is going to stay there until the condition is met for increasing, or until the condition is met for decreasing. Will it decrease from less than 2? No, it will not, because I have said no matter what, the minimum should be 2, but maximum can be 4, correct? So it is doing, I think the launch configuration failed right here itself. We can fix that. I will see what is the problem. It says security group subnet belong to a different network. Okay, I expected that. So that's fine. Let us fix this problem. So you understand what it is?
Is it a problem with VPC?
It is, yes, because I put a security.
We choose the wrong VPC.
I used a security group probably. Mostly that will be the reason. Okay. I used this. I think it is here. See, it is saying it is a security group from a different VPC. Security groups are VPC specific, correct? We said, okay, launch it in class 10 VPC, but I said use the security group from some other VPC, correct? Guys, are you guys following what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So let's do one thing. Let's make a note of a couple of things here. Let's go here. Let's go to our VPC and check our VPC first. What is the VPC name number? 27C. Okay. Just keep an ID on that. Okay. 27C is our VPC's ID. Now we need to know security groups belongs to this VPC. So I'm going to collaborate. So let's look at our VPC external. See, we used external web. Somebody said it is correct. So we have to use actually this security group, 7F. Following me? Because this is the security group. We used a security group from somebody else, correct? Actually speaking, I'll show you. We use the security group from this one, external web server security group. See, this is the one that we used. Is that belongs to this VPC? No, it is belongs to class 9. So we need to use class 10's VPC group and security group. Are you guys following me? So what can we do now? Is it something we need to create everything from the scratch again, or we need to do something?
I think we can choose a copy of that.
No, we just change the.
Add the security group.
Okay.
I think we can't change once created, right?
Correct. We cannot change, for some reason, we cannot modify our launch configuration. So we have to create a new launch configuration. So if you want, we can actually make a copy of this launch configuration. This is all good. I am coming to the security group here, and I'm going to say edit security groups, and we wanted to use which security group? 27C. This is the security group we need to use, correct? Review that. I just wanted to see, is there a way we can change the name of the launch configuration? I don't think there is a way to do that.
Edit detail on the right, yeah.
Yeah, we can do it.
There we go.
Launch configuration 02. I think that is enough. And add storage, that's all perfect. This is the security group, and review that. And then we created, now we created a, oh, I think I didn't create it. Shit. I didn't create it. Okay, hold on one more second. Let's try this one more time. I think we didn't create that thing. So let's create a new one. Okay, definitely that will be easy. So my AMI, I'm going to select this. I'm going to say I need T2 micro. I'm going to call it as, you know, class 10 launch config -02. That's it. Add storage. We don't want anything. Security group. We want to use the security group from our 27C. So this is that one. Review. So this is all the things. So, you know, class configuration need be to optimize security group storage and create that launch configuration. I created that launch configuration. Now we need to do is we need to attach this launch configuration to our auto scaling group, correct? So we'll go to our auto scaling group. So this is the auto scaling group we created. So we can come here and edit that thing, and then here we need to specify what is the launch configuration we need to use. See here, launch configuration. Is this the one we want to use? No, we want to use this one. So you select that. Everything else remains same. So here is the thing, guys. Decide, you know, this auto scaling group is going to deploy 2 servers. Minimum is 2. Desired is 2. But maximum can go to 4 or 6. And I'm going to use EC2 health check. You know, this is the cooldown period. You know, this is the subnet it is going to do. This is the VPC it is going to create. everything I specified here. You know, when you specify a subnet, it knows which VPC it should go, correct?
Right. One question. So let's say if you put 5 or 6 over here, so it's going to keep creating the same machine again and again, right?
It is going to use the same AMI to create. It is not the
Yeah,
same.
that's what I mean, yeah. Same
Yes, it
AMI
is
to
going to use
create.
the same AMI. Yes, that is how you want it, because that is the AMI that has your configuration file. That is the AMI that has your settings, correct? Because that is why you are selecting that AMI. Now here in the class, in the lab, we are just doing a testing, but that is not in real life. You have to pick and choose the exact AMI that you want to be part of that group. You know, if it is a web server or if it's a batch server, then you need to have all the batch components, everything, so that it can start processing immediately after adding. Because once you add it, auto scaling means it has to be completely end-to-end automated. You don't want to do anything. It will automatically launch a server in the middle of the night and it should start working. Okay?
Deepu,
So
I have a question.
quick question.
Yeah.
So this auto scaling, suppose if I have a multi-tier application, right? If my app server is sitting on one subnet, right? My web server is sitting on another subnet. Do we need to create a separate auto scaling for each and every layer?
No, I don't think so. You don't need to do that. You need to test this. Actually, you can specify multiple subnets here. You can specify the subnets here. So I think it will automatically place them in appropriate thing. So I think it will do that. You need to test that, Muthu. I'm not sure exactly, but I believe you can create multiple subnets. You know, subnets you can specify, so it will create in both of them.
Because the image will be different, right? Because the app server will have different image.
Oh, no. If it is separate servers, then you have to create separate auto-scaling groups. No doubt. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You cannot use the same launch configuration. You can use the same auto-scaling. No, you cannot use the same auto-scaling group. It has to be a separate one.
Okay.
Okay. So this is done. So we just
Deepu, actually, we have one more question. So the maximum instances that it's going to create is for, let's say, in the night, there is a sudden surge of requirement of the instances required. Let's say we require 6, but the maximum capacity that we have given is for what happens in that situation.
It will not go more than 4. If you specify 4, that is the thing. That's the beauty of this. You know, you can limit how much you want. If you think you want to have more, then you need to modify this auto-scaling group. You can edit this and you can change this number to 6. But because otherwise, if you just left it open, then it might, some hacker get into your system, and if you start triggering some kind of a thread and all the servers go crazy with CPU utilization, what is it going to do? It is going to spin up hundreds of servers, and you're going to end up spending a lot of money. So you don't want that to happen. So you have to control how much you want to go. You can put 100 here. There is no issues. It will go up to 100 if there is a need. But in this example, I'm just saying I'm capping it to 4.
Okay, and does CloudWatch does it give us a notification that any kind of notification or that the usage is really high so that we can change the requirement?
We will learn CloudWatch at that time. You will see, but anytime when it is creating an instance or something, you will see that it is going to do it.
I think we set the alarm. We set the alert, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think we did this, and I believe it is already started creating 2 instances here. It already started creating 2 instances actually as soon as we fix that problem. So you can see that it is creating 2 instances. Let's go and see whether it created 2 instances auto-scaling. You may see that it is creating. So here it is. It created 2 instances. It is initializing now. It is created 2 T2 micros. And if you look at this, you can see that it will be using our class 10 Windows 2016 base image. It is using that same security group that I mentioned. Everything is looking good, correct?
Right.
All right, so now that it is done, probably the CloudWatch might have sent me some emails. So let me see whether I got any emails now. Not yet. CloudWatch will take a few minutes, but I will be getting notifications now from here. So this is creating two instances. It is initializing. Let us just wait for a few minutes. So let's go back here and look at the auto scaling something. So you can actually look at some of the activities here. These are older cases, but after we fixed the security group, it was able to successfully launch 2 instances. The scaling policies, you can see what is the scaling policies, increasing the group size, decreasing the group size. It is all mentioned here. The instances that is deployed is actually here. What is the instances? The monitoring, we are actually using CloudWatch monitoring for that. So it is actually going to monitor all these things, but it is only basically we are only looking at the CPU utilization for this case. It is going to send email notification to my email address when it launches, when it terminates, and things like that. I haven't got that email, but normally CloudWatch will take a few minutes to send notification when it launches. So it should send the emails. You can edit that. Schedule actions, there is nothing here. Actually, you can create some schedule action. I think this is a new schedule action. I don't know what it is. I think this is, again, you can customize the numbers. I think it's the same thing. We don't need to do anything right now. Okay, so let's just wait for this. I wanted to show you what exactly happens in CloudWatch. So, it just deployed 2 servers. So you see that. Okay, here you go. I'm getting a lot of emails now coming from auto scaling launch group class 10 auto scaling. It is saying that, it is doing that. So you can see that I got a lot of emails actually from auto scaling group. It is all failed ones, and these are the 2 successful ones. So basically, it did created the auto scaling, and the servers are now up and running. So now let us go and trigger something inside this box. I just wanted to show you how auto scaling works. Now, as I said, guys, getting you the concept and making you understand how to do this is what I am important, what I am focusing. But you may want to test it different scenarios. There will be a lot of scripts and all. You can work with auto scaling to make it really, really powerful. For example, user configuration data, bootstrapping, how to run many PowerShell scripts and things like that. That is way outside of what I want to teach. It is more of a Windows server admin or a Linux admin should know how to bootstrap a server with the correct application. But that is something you need to figure out. Okay. Mahesh is asking a question. T2 instances are burstable. T2 is burstable. You can explain the difference between CPU credits versus auto scaling. Yeah, I will talk about that, Mahesh, after. Let's just finish this, okay? So bursting is actually means, bursting means it can spike, to a certain level. If you have some CPU configuration or memory, it can burst for something, when you have a sudden spike, it will allow. That is what T2s are meant for, burstable capacity. It can do CPU or disk IO or memory. All these things can burst. Burst means for a sudden jump or sudden rise in CPU utilization, it will give you that. But you cannot get a consistent, constant CPU utilization. It won't work with that bursting. If you want to have a consistent CPU utilization, guaranteed CPU utilization, then you need to go for higher instance types. But I will, yeah, go ahead, Mahesh.
One question. What about the memory? We're talking about the CPU here. So if we need a memory all of a sudden, can we do that also?
That's a good question. Since you asked, I will tell you. Unfortunately, in Amazon, you cannot monitor memory utilization. Now, I don't know why they are not giving that option. I think they are doing some transparent page sharing and different memory management techniques to provide memory. So you cannot actually monitor memory utilization, unfortunately. So memory is not an option.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, Yogendra, that they said, 11 class 11 video, you need to take that last slash out of the thing. So just remove that slash at the back. You should be good. All right, so let's get on to this.
Quick question.
Oh man, there is a problem here. Okay, can anybody give me an answer for it? I need to log into this server. How can I log in? Let me see what all you understand.
I just
Using Elastic ID.
hit connect.
I need to log into that server.
Assign an elastic IP.
Okay, that is one solution. Attach an elastic IP address to it, and then I will be able to log in. That is perfect. Any other options?
Log into another server and then RDP to this server.
Like a bastion host.
Mm-hmm. I think that is what we need to do, right? So let's log into our Bastion host itself. Bastion host is this box. So let's start this Bastion host, and then let us log into that. You understand what I'm saying? So without attaching an IP address, I can log into Bastion host, and then I can log into that server. Correct?
So in this case of the auto scaling, can we also use the load balancing, or we cannot use that?
You can use load balancing. You can attach it to the load balancers. Yes, there is an option that was there. I was showing you earlier, right? There is an option to add it to a load balancer. You can specify which load balancer it should go to.
Okay.
All right. So this server is coming up. Let me see if we can get an elastic IP address that we are not using. So I have this address here. I'm attaching that. It's already used by something else. Okay, I attached a public IP to this server. Okay. It's to our auto scaling server, one of the server. I think this is the one. So now we can use that server to connect. Are you guys following me what I'm doing? So I'm actually connecting to that server. So this is that server, auto scaling test. I'm attaching and able to log in because I have a public IP address attached to it. Okay. Now what I want to do now is, let me see, I have a software here which I downloaded for my last class. Let me see, I can find out that. Hold on one second. Downloads. Okay, let's come up. What is that name for it? Anybody remember? I want to generate some CPU generation. There's a word for it. I forgot. I want to download something. Anybody remember?
Looks like it's a Prime 95 something, Prime 95, 75.
Okay, you're watching that video, right?
Yeah.
What is that called? CPU?
I think it is the Prime 95 something. I don't exactly.
No, not that.
Is it GIMP? GIMPS?
Okay, cache shift and something. Let me see. Maybe that. I just need some tool. You know, there are so many. Yeah, this is the tool I exactly want. CPU. This is perfect. This is perfect. How do I download this? Where is the down? Okay, CPU stress test. This is the thing. CPU stress test. All right, we got it. All right. So now that's a free tool. Okay, CPU stress test. There are so many tools available. I was looking for that exactly that tool. That is actually much more easier. I can put multiple threads and things like that. So it's good. Hold on one second. CPU stress test. Copy it. I'm just copying that into this PC. We should put this in our AMI so that every machine we can use it. Server is on. Okay, so this is the CPU stress test tool. Okay, you can download this. So here I'm just starting this. The task manager, this server is very slow. So let's see where is the CPU utilization now. 51%, 18%. Is this going to trigger any alarm?
No.
What point our alarm is configured for auto scaling group?
For increasing 70.
Yeah, we said if it is going more than 80% or 60%, I think we put 60%, it should trigger, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run some threads here. I'm going to put active threads. I think that's good enough. Let's see what happens. So this should trigger the CPU utilization to more than it is still 53%. Let's make this to busy. All right, that worked. And now we are getting an app of around 84%, 97%. I don't want to go that level. That is too high. Okay, this is good. Okay, are you guys watching this? So now using that tool, I was able to run two threads. Basically, it is just doing some kind of an action in the CPU. It may be doing some kind of an action where I was able to generate some CPU load inside the particular server. And you can see that it is running at around 72 to 81% at this point. Correct? So this has to go for 1 minute or 2 minutes. I think 1 minute, I believe we set it up for.
I think 2. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's 1 for 60. I think it should be for 1 minute. If it's 1 minute, then CloudWatch is going to trigger an alarm. Basically, it's going to trigger an alarm, but basically it's going to inform the auto scaling. Hey, you know what? I see this CPU utilization on this server is more than 74%, so take your action. So at this point, what do you think auto scaling will do now?
Will create a launch.
It might take some time, so let us see what auto scaling is going to do here. Let us go and look at our auto scaling group and see the activity, what it is doing. If it is going to spin up another instance, you will see here it is going to do that. So we got to wait for some time. It will, hopefully it will trigger. Are you guys following what I'm saying, right? This is what is expected. We need to have the auto scaling group to do that. It is doing only on one server, but I think it will definitely add. I don't think we need to do this on 2 servers. If needed, we can do it on 2, but let's see. Let's just watch a few minutes. Okay, it is continuously running at 86%, so that's good. So the monitoring should trigger. For 60 seconds. So here it says add one instance when CPU utilization is thing. So I'm not sure it is going to look at an average. So what I would do is I don't want to take a risk here. So I mean not to spend time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log into the other server also. This is 10.0.1.36. So I can actually do that from this server. The server is already running at high CPU utilization. That's a problem. It is already running high. Let's see.
I believe the both have to run high, then it will trigger for the third one, right?
Yeah, that's what I think it's taking the average. So the other one is low, so it may not trigger it. We don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Rather than logging into other instance, we can change the auto scaling value, right? We can say it as 40. So then it should automatically create one more.
Yeah, that maybe that's also a good idea. We can see that, but let's see. Let me just see. I can connect. Okay. Okay, I think it is already
Yeah,
launching. You see that?
it's starting third one,
It's
yeah.
actually launching it, so I don't need to do it. So you can see that it is already launching another instance. You see that?
Yeah.
So this is the beauty of it, but you know, see, if this server needs to work, it should be exactly the same configuration and things like that. This is exactly what auto scaling do. So I think if we go here now in the activity, you can see that, you know, it is saying waiting for instance warm up. It is doing that, and I would have probably got an email now from auto scaling saying that um, a new instance is launched. It hasn't come yet. It will take some time because CloudWatch is always slow. It takes a little while to do it. So let this come up, and once this is come up, we're going to stop the activity there, and at that point you can see that auto scaling will automatically bring that server down. Are you guys, for everybody, understanding what we are doing here?
Yes.
So it's actually added the third server. Now it can keep on adding new servers. It can keep on adding new servers. It can go one more server if it thinks it is needed. It is actually doing the calculation internally. It has certain algorithms to take the decision, but it can add one more server at this point. But it is going to wait for this server to come up, and if it sees, okay, is the load is going to go down? No, because we're not using any load balancer, and also that server's load is continued to load. So I'm sure it will, if you wait for another 2 minutes, it's going to add another server. But
Right.
that is it. It won't add more than 4 because we have said the maximum is 4. But we also mentioned that the desired capacity is 2. So as long as the CPU utilization comes down, it is going to remove these based on the scaling policy you configured for downgrading. So if you look here in the scaling policy, you can see that the decreased group size, if the CPU utilization is 30 seconds, 30 percentage, then it is going to remove one instance when the CPU utilization is less than 30 percentage. Okay. So this is coming up. I think it has done. So let's go and see what launch auto scaling is saying now. It is still saying it is warming up.
So how does the load balancer know? Or
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we need to see that, man. I think I've done it. We have two auto scaling groups, but we need to see how we can do that. I think it can be figured out. Let's just try to do that.
sure.
No, we don't need to do that. It's actually auto scaling group. So here it is. So when you specify your load balancer, you will be able to get your load balancer here. It should show here. Hold on. Okay, so this is the target group. I think classic load balancer. With the load balancer, with the classic load balancer. Okay, so you know what the problem is? We created, it looks like auto scaling. You don't need, it works with both, it's say with a classic load balancer. So the option is here, I'm not going to do that, but with the classic load balancer, you register the instances with the load balancer. So basically, once the instance come up, you have to manually do that. But, we created a classic load balancer, correct? If we would have created a application load balancer, then it would have all you need to do is you just specify the target groups here, and it would have automatically added it. Let me go back and explain that what I mean by that. So if you go to the load balancers, you can see the target groups here. The target groups are nothing but a group of servers. So here it is. This is something that I created probably from some previous class or something like that. But what we created here, we deleted the load balancer also. Oh, I think I deleted the load balancer. That's why it is not showing here. That is no. Why did I deleted it? Yeah, load balances. I don't have any load balances. That's the problem. So let's go and create a load balancer and see. I'm just going to try the classic itself and see. It should come up. So you can see that the auto scaling group is here. We don't need to do that. So I'm not attaching any instances right now. I'm just creating a load balancer here to see whether it will work. So it is actually creating a load balancer for now. Okay. It just created a load balancer. So now let's see whether we can find that out here in the launch configuration. So if you create, I think not in launch configuration, in auto scaling group, when you create it, maybe we should see that option now. Okay, you can see the load balancer now here. You see that? So once you pick that load balancer, it will automatically get added into that.
Actually, we
Sense?
can also attach a load balancer to a already existing auto scaling group as well.
You can attach it to an auto scaling group. Yes, you can attach it to the existing auto scaling group, because you can always modify the auto scaling groups. You cannot, only thing you cannot modify is actually the launch configuration. So you're right. So if you go to the existing auto scaling group, I think this is your auto scaling group, correct? So here there should be an option to specify the load balancer here. So you can specify the load balancer here. Target group, see there is nothing here. So I think if you do that, I'm not sure this will work, but I'm just going to save this here. And at that time, maybe this is already launched, so I'm not sure how this is going to respond, okay? Normally it should do at the time of launching the auto scaling group, it should have done it, but let's see whether it has added that load balances instances.
The thing is, we didn't add instances to the load balancer,
No,
right?
we don't have to, right? The auto scaling should automatically do that. It didn't add any instances here. It didn't register it. My expectation is that it should automatically register here when you specify the load.
It makes sense,
Right. Okay. So test it out. I think it should work. Otherwise, we'll try this again. Another auto scaling group. We can. I don't want to spin up all the instances, but let's give it a try. I'm just curious. Let's try this. So let's create a new auto scaling group. Okay, and I'm going to say use this configuration. I'm going to call it as auto scaling 003. Start with one instance. I'm going to say start this VPC. I'm going to say public subnet. I'm going to say use these two subnets. I am going to say traffic. I'm going to say that is my load balancer. Health check type is EC2. That's fine. This is the health check, whether the ELB is checking the availability of the instances, the type of health check. It can be done ELB. That means ELB will be doing the health check, using the monitor page. It can do that. And EC2. So that's fine. So this is all good. Instance protection. Protect from scaling. I don't know what this is. Okay, if protect from scaling said newly launched instance will be protected from scaling by default. Auto scaling will not select protected instance for termination during. Okay, so I think instance protection is I think if I'm just recollecting from some of the videos that I watched in the past. So certain instances, for example, the first two instances, you can protect it. So you can say auto scaling, whatever happens, do not delete these two instances. You add another 5 and remove that 5, I don't care, but don't delete these two particular instances, whatever happens. Otherwise, auto scaling will pick and choose whichever it wants. It might delete any one of the things. So that, I think that is what that instance protection is. You can specify certain instances to do that. Okay, so keep the initial group size. This is good. Configure tags. I'm just giving no and create auto scaling group. Let's see, this auto scaling group should probably try to do this now. It should try to create another 2 new instances. Let's see whether it will do or not. Okay.
have a minimum and maximum one?
Yeah.
You should change that, right?
Yeah, we have to change that.
Okay.
In detail.
Where is that option?
In the first tab itself, details, yeah.
It automatically launched already one instance. All we need to look at is whether it created that instance registered here or not. That is what I want to know. Okay, it actually did. All of them is doing it. You see, it's taking little time. You know, both instances we put, you can see that they all got registered here, right?
Yeah.
It's out of service and all. Don't worry about it. You know how to fix that. You know, it is basically, you know, it is checking, you know, maybe it is launching now, it is registering, you know, basically you can see that instance fail at least unhealthy threshold. So it is checking something, but that is all something you know how to fix it. But you see that it is automatically adding the instances into the ELB. Make sense? So the whole thing is taken care here, you know, deploying of an instance, creation of a, you know, joining, registering it with the ELB, removing it from the ELB, everything is done by itself. And you can also see that, you know, there are so many emails that are coming from, I think you can see that all these emails are coming, launch, auto scaling, you know, auto scaling group, all these emails are coming up there from these alerts. So now what I'm going to do is, oh, did I? It is launching up auto scaling. Okay, so I think auto scaling test, it is shutting down that instance. I think I just shut down that server. I think something happened. I'm not sure what it is doing. It is actually shutting down. So which auto
So
scaling is?
because I think because of the system, you know, the CPU utilization is low.
Yeah,
That's why.
because
It is decreasing.
that server got shut down, right? So because of that, and there is another one, it is getting launched here now. So there are too many instances that are getting launched. Let's go and look at it, which auto scaling is taking action there. Okay, so here it is. It's basically the one that we talked about. Since the CPU utilization came down, it is now automatically terminating the instance. It is terminating and also it's unregistering it from the EC2 load balancer. Now I think this is probably now it is terminating because now the load balancer has come. So the load is it is looking at both the instances. So let's see. It is still showing all of them are out of service. So this could be a reason why it is spinning more machines.
One question I have here. So it's creating a new instance and everything. What about the data and everything is being written on the new server?
That is exactly I was telling, you know, so you have to have scripts, your data. See, these are used in batch processing kind of, I mean, don't think of this as a
Okay.
web sphere application server or things like that. If you have that type of config, you can still do them, but whatever data you want, all those things you need to bring in using your scripts, or your AMI should already have it.
Okay.
There is nothing, it is, you know, that's how it has to be. Normally, you know, in Linux, Unix world, what they do is, once the instance come up, they run some scripts to get the configuration files, configuration scripts, all the required data, everything from S3. So once your instance is up using auto scaling, there will be the user data field, there will be a script that they will run. Okay, now the server is up, go and grab all the files and put it in this configuration file and start this particular web server or something. That's it. Once that comes, your server is good, correct? The same thing can be done in Windows Server also. You can actually say, okay, go and grab these files, all the, you know, your website requires your files, your www root requires all the files for your website, right? So the PowerShell script will automatically go and grab the required files from S3 and put it in your www root, and then your next PowerShell script will automatically create a server role, configure the website. So that is all completely automation that you need to do. If you don't want to do all that, then your AMI should be pre-configured with all your required data. It should have IIS, it should have your website, it should have your data, everything. Now once that is done, then it should be fine, correct?
Okay.
Is there any particular reason for not allowing to edit the launch configuration?
I don't know that. All I know is that it will not allow you to configure. It is. What is the reason? I don't know why they are not allowing. I think the launch configuration cannot be edited because that has the specific AMI and all, right? If you edit it, then it is going to create a mismatch, right? Because half of your servers will be running something else, and half of them will be running.
But when we want to update some bash script in the launch configuration itself.
No, it is not on the launch configuration, right? Is it on the launch configuration? I think it is.
Yeah,
right?
It is on launch configuration.
It is on the launch configuration. So yeah, so if you want to do that, you can always, there is nothing much. That is why they have created this copy option. You copy your existing one, add your script, whatever, you just do this copy launch configuration and, edit AMI. Here it is, launch configuration, edit details. And here you want to add your additional scripts, and then you create that, and then you attach it to the auto scaling group.
Okay.
Okay. So is this clear for everybody? So that is auto scaling. Okay. So you got to try and read and try to understand a little bit more, but this is how it is configured. So let me go and delete all these things. Okay. Otherwise it's going to cost me a lot of money. Now, do I need to go and delete all these instances? I don't think we need to, because it will automatically terminate. Okay. It should terminate. That is what my expectation is. Let's see what happens.
Can you go to the load balancer? Will it automatically detach as well?
I mean, we deleted it, so I'm not sure how that is going to respond. Yeah, it is removing. You see that? All the instances. It has to do all that things step by step. So it is doing that. So let me delete this load balancer also. That is actually, load balancers will cost you money, okay? Okay, you can see that it is removing and shutting down. It's basically terminating. It's shutting down the instances and terminating them. All right, cool. All right. So I think it's clear for everybody. Any other questions on this? Is it clear? Auto scaling. So you can modify it the way you want, but you all see how it works. It perfectly works fine. All you need to understand is, you should have a proper AMI. You should have proper work, security groups. You need to know where it should go, which subnet it should go, which load balancer it should go, how the scaling out and scaling in both configurations, what it should be selected, and basically run it. So keep in mind, auto scaling works with two things. It also need a launch configuration, that is the primary thing, and then creating the auto scaling group. Okay.
Quick question, Terry. So how it identifies the instances that is related to that auto scaling group? Because sometime in a subnet, some other instance may also be running.
Come back again.
No, so because in the auto scaling, it is automatically finding out, right, by ramping up and ramping down. So at what basis it identifies the instances associated with that auto scaling group?
It knows, right, what it is generating, right? Auto scaling knows what it may be creating, keeping some information on that. It knows what instances it generated, instance ID. It will definitely know. That is why it is registering them. It knows how it knows. I don't know. I don't think there is any documentation on that. How does the auto scaling really understands what instance? It knows what instance. I think auto scaling itself, we specify what are the instances it's creating, right? So it has that information and it uses that information to join the load balancer, and so it knows which one to be unregistered, which one to be registered. It is completely the auto scaling is doing. It knows what is the instance, right? We are specifying two instances, but it is creating. It knows the ID. It knows everything about that instance. All right, so let's move on. I have 10 minutes to talk. So with this, I would just wanted to say something. We kind of finished EC2. You pretty much now know most of the things in EC2. All these things we covered: volume, snapshot, security groups, elastic, key pair, network interfaces, load balancing, all that thing. So this is a new feature. I just need to prepare a little bit on this. Actually, I wanted to prepare and teach you guys so that I myself will learn this. Let me see if I can do that. I'm not guaranteeing. This is a new feature that they added like 2 months back, Systems Manager. This is again can add certain automation, and at least I can give you a great video for that. There is a guy who is doing some nice video. I watched that, but I will try to work on this a little bit, and if possible we will have a class on that. I'm not guaranteeing that. Okay, that topic I am skipping. We talked about VPC. We looked at all the aspects of VPC. I think everybody now know what is VPC and how to create everything, and the only thing that is left in VPC is VPN. We will come back and talk about VPN at a later point, but other than that, we talked about all these options in VPC. So that is probably the major two topics, and now I wanted to get on to, we talked about S3, we'll talk about these things at a later point. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to start with security, identity, and compliance. So this here, this is the only thing I will be talking. I'll probably talk a little bit about directory services, but IAM is the most important thing: identity and access management. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and tomorrow class we will get on to the policies and stuff like that, how to create policies and things like that. Did I talk about IAM at least in any class? I think in my demo I might have mentioned, right? Or
yeah, in the initial demo you said what? How can you can manage user roles and those kind of stuff.
okay, so IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. This is where you create user accounts. How many? I think all of you are using AWS now. Are you guys using IAM to log in, or are you using your root account to log in? Are you all using root account, or are you using your root account, or are you using an IAM account? Anybody has IAM accounts?
I have my account.
Okay. So I think it is very, very important. Take this as a very serious thing. If possible, do not try to use your root account. Root account, the only thing that root account can do other than IAM accounts and all. IAM also can be configured, but sometimes if you want to change your billing, credit card or things like that, that is the only time you need to use root account. Or if you have some major issues, you wanted to contact Amazon support and things like that, that time they might ask you for root account. Other than that, you really don't need to use a root account. In fact, today we had a conference call with Amazon and our audit team, and they were talking about how well we are securing and protecting the root account. does our root account is associated with a company email address, or is it something associated with a employee? Is it in my name? Is it in my boss name? Or is it having a company's deal? Probably I would recommend you to configure a distribution list from your company and use that. Is it MFA protected? If so, who is holding that MFA token? So these are all very, very important things. Are you using a complex password for it? These are all very important things, because if anybody get a hold of your root account, they could pretty much do anything in that environment. Okay. So now coming to identity and access management, this is where you create your own users and groups, and you can create policies. You can also create identity provider for federation. We'll talk about that. You can talk about your passwords and all. So first thing is, when you come to the identity and access management, basically you can see that there is this is how most of your sites look like, correct? IAM uses sign-in link. You cannot go to simply, you go to amazon.com, aws.amazon.com, you go here and you see the sign-in console. You click on the sign-in console. Okay, this is coming up here. You cannot log in from there if you have an IAM user account. If you have an IAM user account, you have to go to this IAM sign-in link. It is a totally different link. You go to that link and then you put that okay, it's not doing it. So this is the IAM link. It normally comes with your account number and then your IAM user account. It is not your email address, it is not your root account, and then your password, and then you can protect that with MFA also, and then you can sign in. If you want to log in using root account, then you need to click that. It will take you back to that thing. So basically, if you want to log in as an IAM user, you have to use that account. It will take you to here. Okay. So it is very easy to remember that thing. It is actually your account number. Remember this. A lot of people forget this and they don't know how to get into their IAM account. It is your account number dot signing dot Amazon aws.amazon.com/console. Just remember signin.aws.amazon.com/console and your account number. Now, if it is difficult for you to remember your account number, you can always give it a okay. You can always give it a customized name. You can actually come here and customize and give any of your name, whatever you want to give, So I can actually use Cherian .signin.aws.com. So this is what I wanted to log in. So once you get in, you can do that. So I would strongly recommend to customize that so that you can remember your URL. Okay. So once that is done, then you can come and create users and groups. So you can create users here. So I'm going to create a user now. So this whole interface is changed a little bit last month. It was not like this. So I'm going to create a user called Cherian. And I told you, I haven't talked about command line interface. We will be talking that in a day or two. In the next couple of classes, I will be spending one day on talking about using command line interface, how to get into command line and what you can do with AWS CLI. There is a couple of things you need to understand, how to configure a CLI and things like that. So if you are using programmatic approach like AWS API or CLI or SDK and things like that, you really don't need a username and password. All you need is you need a access key and a secret key. And remember, we use that in one case. Anybody remember where we use an access key and a secret key?
For S3?
Correct. For S3 access using S3 Explorer, we used programmatic access, correct? So if you want, you can do that. I am going to give only a management console access. So if you want that user to log into management console, for example, in your case, then you need to use management console. So you can create your own password. I'm just using that password. Whether you want the user to create a next password at login, you can do that. So you create the permission. Now once you create the thing, you can actually attach certain policies. I can add him to a group. A group can have policies. We'll talk about all that later, but I'm not going to do anything. So I'm going to create a policy. Policies are nothing but a set of permissions that you can assign to a user. In Amazon, everything is done through policies. We will learn how to create policies. So I'm going to actually create a policy. So there are different type of policies, AWS managed policies. We'll talk about policies and all tomorrow. But I'm just going to create a EC2 full control access. So this is the policy that I'm going to attach to this particular user. Currently it is not given to any user. Amazon EC2 full access. You can give multiple policies. You can attach only 10 policies to one user. Otherwise, you need to create some users and groups and things like that. We'll talk about all that later, but right now, I'm just attaching an EC2 full access policy to that user. Click review, and that is it. The policy, it's a managed policy. Managed policies are closed policies or sealed policies. You cannot make any changes to that. These are policies that are created by Amazon. If you look at the policies, you can actually see how that policy looks like. This is the EC2 full access policy. It's completely created on JSON. I will show you how we can create these policies using policy generator. So this is actually a policy that gives a particular user complete access to EC2, load balancing, CloudWatch, and auto scaling. These are all parts of EC2. That is why he is getting all that. It is attached to this policy is, attached entities. It is attached to users. So you can see, why is it not showing any user here? We attach that policy, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. It is not showing. Okay, we didn't create the user yet. That's the problem. We were creating that user. Okay, so we haven't created the user yet. So this is the policy, and then you create a user. So now we created a user. This user is here. The process is done, and now I can log in using that user account. So let me go back here, and this is my thing, and I'm going to put my username, and I'm going to put my password, and I'm going to log in to my AWS account. See here, I logged into my AWS account, but I don't have access to VPC. If I try to do VPC or something, I might get access, but VPC is part of a thing. But if I try to create certain things, or if I try to create an S3 bucket, I won't be able to do that. Let's see, I can create an S3. You don't have permission to use S3 because I'm just given only EC2 permission to this particular user. So I have complete EC2 permission. I can create load balancers. I can create instances. I can start instances. I can stop instances. You can see that I can actually go and start an instance, and anything I can do because I have administrator rights. But look here, I logged in as Cherian at that account number. This is not a root account. This is an IAM user account.
So can we configure a user to only see a couple of instances, not all of them?
You can. Again, that is custom policies. Absolutely, you can do that. But that requires some good
understanding of policy.
Yeah, you need to. I mean, it is very, very easy to do that. I would say if you know how to create JSON scripts. But we can try that. I will show you how to do that, but I am not going to troubleshoot that. But it is definitely possible to create things. All you need to do is in the policy you specify the instance IDs and things like that. So we have done that for our in my office, for our networking guys. I just need to tell them, okay, you can do only certain things. I'm not giving him the whole of EC2. I want that guy to create a subnet, create a route table, attach a route table, modify, gateways and DHCP options. And these are only the certain things that I wanted a particular person to do. At the same time, I have a storage guy. I want him to start and stop an instance, but I don't want him to power off or delete or anything. I want him to create S3 buckets and do things. I want him to create volumes, but he cannot delete volumes. So you can do what type of customization you want. And when we learn a policy generator, I will show you how we can do that. But your question was not based on that. Your question was, can I allow a particular user to have access to a particular instance? It is absolutely possible, but you need to tweak your JSON script to make it work.
All right, thank you.
It is possible. Okay. So this is what it is. So now I have logged in as a IAM user. Can I go and create a user here? I cannot. Why is that?
He doesn't have access to create something.
Right. So this is what you want to do. If you have friends or somebody wants to come, you want to give them these type of access. Again, don't give them full control. If you want to do that, I would strongly recommend. So you can also see here, you cannot see the billing. Nothing. He cannot see billing or any of these things to see that. I mean, billing, you can give a billing. Root level access is not needed to see bill. Bills you can see, but you cannot change any credit card or details with an IAM account. But bills and things like that you can configure. Again, it is a role. So I'm going to log off here. Let's go back to our root account. So just wanted to show you, if you pick a user and go to this user cherry, and then now let's go and take his property. So you can see that he currently has policies. So there are managed policies and inline policies. I'll talk about that also tomorrow. This is a managed policy, and there is also something called as an inline policy. So add permissions. You can attach multiple policies here. So here, if you see here, this is what I wanted to show you. If you go here, AWS Manage, there is actually read for EC2 or AWS read-only access. See, if you give read-only access, this is what I would recommend if a new guy is joining the company or a friend of yours wanted to see, you give him read-only access. This read-only access, actually, that policy, if you look at the policy exactly, you can see that it is giving that user entire thing, CloudWatch, Cloud Config, data pipeline. You can see that everything, EC2, everything he is getting, Kinesis. You see that everything in Amazon he is getting read-only access, but he can only see read access only. You see that? So if you don't want a particular user to have a particular thing, you can actually remove that line from that. Then he will not be getting access to that. So this is elastic load balancer, for example, or I don't want a guy to see elastic cache or elastic beanstalk. I just need to remove that lines. But this is going to give the user just a read-only access. So you can actually attach whatever policies you want to do. So there are so many, and you can see that these are some custom policies. You can create your own policies. You can use a policy generator is there. If you know how to write policies, you can do a Google. Actually, there is so many, policies will be there, I think the best place to get these things is AWS policy examples. So there will be a lot of see here example policies for administering AWS resources. Now you need to, these are things that you cannot do in one day or in 2 hours, but you need to definitely spend time, and once you get past, you will know it. So here it is. User conditions to restrict a permission. Allow only specific EC2 instance to run on certain AWS commands. That's not exactly what you wanted, but I'm just trying to see how that can be done. Let's take a look at that script. See, here it is. So this is that script. All you need is just copy this and put your region, your account ID, your volume, your instance ID, and you specify your instance ID. See here, you're specifying that instance ID. That gives that user only access to that. So if you're specifying, here it is a little different. You're telling what can he do with it. He can attach and detach. These are the two actions he can do on this particular instance. So, if you are a storage guy, and I wanted to give you the rights to add or detach or attach a volume, because storage is something that you manage. So I want to give it to Devinder, then I would give this policy attached to Devinder and specify the instance ID here. Make sense? So this JSON scripts are not really difficult. I think once you get a feel of it, I think you can modify. I don't know how to write these scripts, complex scripts, but I think I have a hang of how to modify these scripts to make it work. So that is all you need to look at it. If you are a good scripter, I would say please go ahead and learn it. JSON itself is widely used in the industry now. Even developers use this a lot. I think many of you guys who are in the class may know JSON, right? I'm not a JSON expert. Anybody know JSON? I know there will be quite some people who are JSON experts. Anybody know JSON? In my office and all, most of our developers are now started using JSON scripts. Any programmers? Anybody here? Developers? Vinisha, Yana, you are a programmer. What is your role, Vinisha? Okay, never mind. Okay, so you understand what it is, so you can create your own. See, allow users to access specific bucket in S3. So a particular bucket, I want a particular user, JSON scripting, a particular user, I wanted to have a user Cherian to have access to only a particular bucket. I can do that here. Create this policy, attach the bucket. So here he can see what he can do. You're clearly specifying, he can list the bucket, he can get the bucket location. He can also do the actions like put object, get object, and delete object. Can he delete a bucket? He cannot delete that bucket, but he can put objects into it. He can read it, and he can delete it. This is what you wanted, right? If I create a bucket, this is exactly what I want to give you guys, correct? So, and then I'm specifying what is my bucket name. Make sense? If you have a bucket and inside the bucket you have a folder, you can actually specify that folder name right after that. Okay? So it will be only permission to that folder. You don't have to do it at the root level of the bucket. Sometimes you want to give permission to a folder inside your bucket. Make sense?
It's just like a Windows admin, security kind of thing, right? Roles.
Roles are again, you can.
Like a security group we create in Windows, it's just like that, pretty much.
Yep. All right, so we'll stop here. I hope you guys got a hang of auto scaling, and we will focus more on IAM tomorrow. We will create IAM users. We'll talk about IAM groups. We'll talk about policies, how to create policies. Then we'll talk about roles and policies, and then we'll talk about account settings here. These are some best practices, what is your password policy and things like that. An identity provider is something very interesting. I wanted to talk about it. We won't be able to do it in the class, but I will explain how federation, how you can integrate your company's Active Directory or your company's LDAP infrastructure with Amazon, so that you don't need any IAM user accounts to log into console. You can use your company's own credentials to log in. There is an outstanding blogs to do that with the help of ADFS, Active Directory Federation Services. So we'll talk about those things tomorrow. So that is what I'm planning to do tomorrow. Okay. So we'll stop here today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We will hopefully will have class every day this week. That is what I'm looking for, so that we can catch up with what we have missed last week. All right. Thank you guys and good night. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay. So just one thing, I know you guys are leaving. Those who have not made the payment, please look into that, okay? Before tomorrow's class. All right, thanks guys.